Good morning, everyone. This is Dina. It is Thursday, August 22nd, early in the morning. I am about to leave here in a few minutes to go to our community pantry. We are expecting our food delivery this morning, and I have a crew that will be there to help me unload the truck and pack everything away in the pantry and record it. So I'm hoping that'll go smoothly this morning. But before I leave, I wanted to record an update very quickly on the progress that I've made working on my homework this week for School of Magical Stitches. I had 3 prompts this week, and one I had already done and I've already shared with you. So this one is the second prompt, or one of the other 2 prompts, and that was to work on a project that resembled something related to the practical joke that the Weasley brothers had pulled at Hogwarts, which was turning the 5th floor into a swamp. So the only thing I even had remotely going for me that would look swamp-like was a new start that was the one of my monthly series from Hands On Design, and it is the year of celebration. And so when I looked at October, I thought, this will work. So I'm going to pull this forward and start it early. And I think I mentioned that to you in my last clip. So I wanted to show you how far I'd gotten on that. A reminder, this is the series. And this is October here. And you can see that gnarly black tree with the eerie moon. And then you see the little eyes peeking through the O for October. So my rationale, of course, is that a swamp does have gnarly trees, and they have eyes everywhere when you look around, and there you are. So I thought that met the prompt very well. And we had to do a 300 stitches. No, we had to do 400 stitches, I think. Anyway, I got more than that, so here's my October so far. I did work on it a little bit after I took the picture and submitted it, and then I had to stop myself because I was going to go ahead and finish it. I know me, and I would have done that, but I have a stitching meetup Saturday, and this is perfect to take with me. I worked on Seaside Kingdom. Yeah, I had to get 300 stitches in it, and I did 325. And I worked primarily on the little girl's apron. So this is the whole piece. I wanted you to see the whole castle and everything, but then this is a little closer what I was working on. I had done her hair and bows and down to her waist last time, and had just done a little bit of the dark around setting up that bow. So this time I did 2 colors in the bow. I finished the top part of the bow, and I started working down on her apron that's laying across her lap and wraps around her dress. And so I'm just working my way on down that little girl. There's a little bit of castle that comes out to here, and there's a lot of fill in here, but I decided that I wanted, for just to keep my interest going, I wanted to work on this little girl a little bit more before I start filling in more of that castle. And but I think she's coming along really well. So that's my progress on that one. And now I'm finished with that whip for today. Thanks for letting me share that with you. I wanted to show you something else I did. Hold on one second. I think I showed you this frame when I bought it, but I hadn't ever shown it to you once I finished it. And I framed the Prairie Schooler, the Needle's Eye. So I wanted you to get a chance to see that. This is the same type frame that I used on the A Kiss for Snowman, except that one was white and this one is black. I got this at Hobby Lobby, and the lovely part about this is that it is almost a shadow box. I don't know if you can see how deep, there you go, that is in there. but it comes with a soft rubbery border inside the frame that holds the picture way up to the top. So in order to make my mounted picture fit, I need half of that room taken away. So I had to pull out the little rubbery padding that holds the picture up near the glass, and I cut it in half. And then I just attached it back in there, just glued it back in, and put my needle point, I put my cross stitch in there, and it's just lovely. I think it's a great effect. And this one I did not mat. The one for my snowman, I put a little mat in there. I had it especially cut for it. But this one I felt like, because it was a more primitive look, I didn't want the mat. I thought that without the mat would look a little more primitive. So there it is, framed. So that's an FFO for you today. Hello everyone, this is Dina. Welcome back. It is still Thursday, the 22nd of August. I am here this afternoon to give you an update on how my stitching has gone so far today. I was able to complete a prompt in Cheryl McKinney's group, and this prompt is in her weekly challenge of McDonald's, and so all of her prompts have related to McDonald's. The one I was working on today was the fact that McDonald's is one of the largest distributor of toys in their little Happy Meals, and so we were to stitch 100 stitches on a piece that has toys in it. So this is the one I chose. There's nothing but toys in that and a window. So I think that meets the criteria very well. Anyway, we were to do 100 stitches. So I had originally said when I worked on this piece again, I was going to start working on the greenery at the top of the window so I could go all the way across. However, that was a lot of color changes, and 100 stitches wouldn't finish very much of that. So I felt like I would just be frustrated by trying to work on that. So instead, I came down on the face and I worked one whole color on that face. This is a blend of ecru and white. My fabric is sort of a off-white ecru color, so it almost blends right in. But I think you can see all the stitches right here, and they come down over here and go over here. I got to 100 stitches. It just turned out that when I stopped to count, because I hit the end of a section right here on his face, I had hit this little bottom piece here, and it was 100 stitches exactly. So I went ahead and posted it, and then I looked and I had a little bit more thread left. So I came on down and I did those few stitches right there and wrapped it up. So I probably hit 113 stitches, but I only showed it at 100, but that was enough to meet the prompt. But that finished out that one length of thread, so that was great. It worked out really well. So this is what they look like right now, friends. This is of course going to be a present for my friend Cheryl, and I was hoping for Christmas, but I don't think it's going to make Christmas because it is full coverage. And so now I'm really shooting for March, and now that I finished the one for my sister, I feel like this will need to get some attention now. I was trying to do them in order of how I was going to give them. So I'll get busy stitching. I hope you will too. And as soon as I have something else to share with you, whatever day it is this weekend, I will do that. And until then, happy stitching, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dina, and it is Sunday, August 25th. Yesterday was a full day for me. I had a wonderful stitching meetup here in Gainesville. We had 12 individuals who came to stitch with us, and 3 of those were new to our group. So the word's getting out there, that we're meeting up and we're stitching, and unanimously from everybody that was new there, they were thrilled when they found out there was a group that they could get together with and stitch. And I think they were pleased when they came and enjoyed themselves. We actually took a break, the majority of us, and went to lunch together. My son was able to drive over and meet us, and everybody kind of wanted to meet him, I think. So we had 10 of us at lunch together. It was great. Lots of stitching done. In fact, I got more stitching done yesterday than I normally do at a stitching meetup, because Donna is also on Floss 2. Donna and I were in a pop-up event in Cheryl McKinney's group, and I believe there was another one of the ladies stitching there that was in that event as well. So for every 50 stitches we made, we were building a book of tickets that we were purchasing for an event, and it was all just great fun. But Donna and I got a real kick out of it, because normally Donna visits more than she stitches, and so she and I were sort of competing with each other to see who could get to their 3 tickets, their 3 groups of 50 first, and we were neck and neck the whole time. It was so much fun, and we were cheering each other on, and when we finished the 3rd one, we said, "Is that it? Is that all we can get?" So Donna messaged Cheryl, and Cheryl said, "Well, do you want me to come up with something else right away?" And we were like, no, we're just playing with you. But it was great fun, and it did cause us to pay a lot of attention to getting some stitching done while we were visiting with all of the people there. So I am wanting to show you my progress. But when I got home, I had just a few stitches left. I'll show you what portion I did after I got home. But yesterday, after I got home, we went to a friend's house for the first time, new friends we've met at church, and they invited us over for dinner, and it was delightful. Just absolutely delightful. We had a great time. And when I got home, it was probably 9:30ish. And so I stitched until around 10 to finish this up. So this is my year of celebrations, and this is October. And I started this, as you'll recall from earlier, I started it because I needed to do something that looked like a swamp, and I felt like this tree and these eyes peeking out would certainly lend itself to a swamp environment, where you see eyes everywhere. And so I knew this would be an easy stitch to keep up with, and took this with me, and I stitched everything except this little corner right here. And I had all of this sign that says boo in purple, but it's hard for you to see on camera. It shows up better in person. But I had stitched all of this, except I had stitched it one way, and I had to cross it back over, and I had gotten almost back down to the bottom. So I had to finish that little bit and do that last night, but it was a very small amount that I had to do to finish this up. And so I was able to get a finish yesterday. So I'm really excited about that. And now that means I only have 2 of these left. And because I had to pull a couple of them early for events. And so who knows, I might finish these before the end of the year, but I've certainly got plenty of time. I love this little series, so Kathy, thank you. This one has been great. It's been great fun to stitch. Okay, so while I was at the stitching meetup, one of the sweet ladies there that I have gotten to know a little bit, Sarah, noticed that I had stitched the 2 mice in the Christmas tea and had really enjoyed it. And so she had messaged me and said, "I have a companion piece for that you might like, and it is called Merry Mouse." And it's the same style of mouse in Santa's hat. Isn't that precious? So she asked me if I would like it, and I've said, yes, please. So yesterday at our stitching gathering, she had it there to give me, and she gifted it to me, which was so sweet of you, Sarah. Thank you. So this has got to make its way into my planning for next year. And then I have also made a new friend through FlossTube. It's a wonderful lady who has been watching my videos, and she commented on them and then wrote me an email. And we were talking and sharing about stitching, and she doesn't have anyone near her really to stitch with. And so we struck up a conversation via email and started corresponding with one another. And we have begun sharing bits and pieces of our life together, you know, what's going on with this and that, and we're becoming friends, and I'm excited about that. And one of the things that we decided to do, we both liked a particular pattern. She had wound up ordering two by mistake and asked if I would like to have one for my sewing room, because I am stitching pieces to put in my sewing room. And this one is the Scarlet House, and this is my happy place. And I'm sure many of you have seen this. It's being stitched quite a bit. And my friend, whose name I will just call her Glow, because I haven't gotten permission to really share any of her information online, so I want to respect that. But Glow offered this to me because she was going to have two of them. And I wrote back and said, why don't we sell it together? So Glow and I will be starting this at some point in time. Don't know when yet. We haven't talked about it. But I just got this in the mail yesterday. And so I go to my stitching meetup and I get a wonderful pattern as a gift, and then I get home and I have another one as a gift. So yesterday was quite a day for me. It was a fun day, and very, very fulfilling. So I hope you're enjoying your stitching. I hope your surprises are all pleasant ones. And I will be heading off now to our church and things that we do there on Sundays, and probably have a lunch with my family. And then I'll settle back in and figure out what I'm going to be stitching on, probably working on some of Cheryl's prompts, because I can't start my Magical Stitches homework, you know, until tomorrow. But that'll give me today to work on some of Cheryl's prompts and go from there. I'm also excited because the extra credit for Magical Stitches has been posted, and I've actually been able to write down my notes as to what those extra credit prompts are. And this is for the next 2 months. It will be September and October that we get to have these done. So that gives me even more to work toward. It gives me another prompt to look at my whips and decide what I'm going to stitch on, and try to make things fit so that I can get pieces worked on that I haven't for a while. And I enjoy that. I hope you do. I hope you enjoy my journey with that. In the meantime, happy stitching, everyone. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Dina, and today is Monday, and it is August 26th. I'm here to let you know I finished my homework today. We had something unique and different this time in School of Magical Stitches. We actually had to go through our projects that we are working on and pick 5 that we might like to work on in the coming week. We had to number them 1 through 5 and put that list in our posting there in the Facebook group. Then at midnight, Sunday night, our headmistress used the Tiny Decisions app and chose a number 1 through 5, and that number was the one whip that you had to stitch for your homework. You had to get 500 stitches in it. Now you can get extra credit if you want to stitch 200 stitches on any of your other 4 or all 4 of the other whips that weren't selected. Well, I put my list out there, and the number that was selected was number 2, and my whip that was number 2 on my list was I'll Be Home for Christmas, Glendon Place, because I really wanted to work on it. So I had to put 500 stitches in this thing this morning. It's of course late this afternoon now, but I worked on it off and on today between going walking at the gym with my husband and you know, cooking meals and that sort of thing. But I made it. I made 500 stitches. So here is my results. I'll tell you what I did. I started over here. I had this topiary begun and I had this section stitched. So I stitched all of the rest of the topiary, and there is shiny thread in there, if you can tell between each of those. It's Krynic. Then I came over, once I finished all of that, I came over here and I finished all of this handrail, all of the snow, and the bow, and I stitched 531 stitches on this today. I'm so excited. Now, just so you know, this topiary and the words are all that are left before I backstitch and bead this beautiful piece. Here's the good part. We have been given our extra credit assignments for those of us who want to stitch for extra credit in our houses. And one of the extra credits is to stitch on one of the Horcruxes from Harry Potter, the movies. If you're not familiar with that, that is an object that Lord Voldemort split his personality up into and stored part of himself. And so those had to be destroyed to keep him from having a window into coming back. So the only Horcrux that I could come up with anything in my whips that I felt would meet it is Helga Hufflepuff's cup, which looks a lot like a chalice or you know, one of those really beautiful cups that they used to drink in. Anyway, this looks very much like that cup to me. And so there's one over here to be done. So I'm going to save this for September 1st because we can't start that till September 1st. And I will then stitch the cup over here to meet my criteria. And I'll get the other 500 stitches through the topiary and then the lettering. I think I can get it with just the topiary because that's where I got the bulk of it over here. And I already had, you know, part of that done, which I don't have over here. So that's how I'm gonna do it. That's how I'll meet that extra credit piece. And so I have to save this until September 1st. Thank goodness it's only a week away. But I got that part of my homework done. Now, I did mention we could do extra credit. And so I looked back at what whips I had put on my list, and then I looked at my other prompts for Cheryl McKinney's groups, and I found that there was one prompt left on the challenge that I hadn't done yet, and it was it had to do with the fact that it was the McDonald challenge. It had to do with the fact that Ronald McDonald is very well known around the world, but the only character that's better known than Ronald McDonald is Santa Claus. So we had to stitch on something with a Santa Claus. So I pulled out my 12 days and I had to do 100 stitches for Cheryl's group. So I did that and I posted a picture. Then we had to do 200 stitches, of course, you know, for School of Magical Stitches. What I did is I just kept going. So once I hit the 200 mark, I actually stitched 223. I have to look at my tally sheet over here on this. And what I stitched on was his pouch, his bag. And I stitched all of this lighter coloring in here and the rest of the dark gold all in here. I filled all this in around that pretty little decorative fruit. I think those are grapes and leaves is what it kind of looks like to me. But they're actually just the decoration on his bag. So I got 223 stitches in that. So I met 2 prompts with this, one for Cheryl McKinney's group, and then one, I got extra points for my homework this week because I stitched on one of the other 4 whips that I had. I don't know if you've noticed, but this is now on scroll rods. I was using Q-snaps with it, and I met up with a friend of mine at the stitching meetup this last week, and she had a couple of scroll rods for me, and I went back in my stash and I had some old-fashioned just split rods. You know, they're not the roller frames that I like, and they weren't the America Dream where you know, have the Velcro on them. They're just split, and so you tack your fabric in there and just squeeze it tight and roll it. But I like working on scroll frames because I love using my floor stand. I stitch two-handed when I get to stitch the way I want. And this really lets me do that. It holds it up for me. I can tilt it the way I want, and I can stitch so much quicker doing two-handed stitching. So I went ahead and put this and several other things on scroll rods. So you'll be seeing them a little bit differently as we go forward. Now I've got to work on making some sleeves to store these in to keep the dust off of them. That'll be another new project for me. Anyway, that's the stitching that I've been doing today. I will be closing up the stitching part of my day here in a minute because I'm going to be working on planning. It's almost the end of the month. I want to look at what sales I want to participate in September. I want to decide whether I'm going to do a new start in September, and I think the answer to that is yes. I showed you a pattern that a friend of mine sent me, and what we've decided to do is to stitch it together in a sal. But we're not just going to stitch it. I'm going to stitch it and send it to her, and she's going to stitch it and send it to me. And then we will have something we both like that we've stitched for each other. So that was a great idea, and I don't know exactly when we're going to be starting it, but I'm hoping that we get to start it soon. It depends on how she's doing and what she's stitching on. I've got an email out to her now to kind of talk to her about that. But I have been getting a lot of votes on what you guys want me to stitch for those that I couldn't decide on, but there's a whole passel of them that I did decide on, and I think I want to go through them today. And I want to look through them with a real critical eye, something that's a little more thoughtful, not just, oh, I want to stitch everything. I'd like to look through and see if I can put them in categories and make sure that I have something for different holidays and different times of the year so that I have variety in what I want to stitch. I have been getting great suggestions for what to do for Mania, and so I would like to play around with some of your suggestions, look through my patterns that I want to stitch and see how they fit into some of those suggestions, and see if I can't start formulating enough of a plan that I could share at least my first brush with it, you know, to kind of show you what I'm going to be doing, because it's time for me to start kitting some of that up out of my stash, and then I will know whether or not I need to purchase things when I go to this retreat here in October. So it's coming up quick, and I would need to see how much I need to buy, so I'll know how much I need to push to a finish, so I have it in my budget, in my Stitch from Stash budget. So lots of planning, lots of fun going on. If all goes well, I have a stitching meetup tomorrow with a dear friend named Melody. She was hoping to get to come to our stitching meetup on Saturday. She normally comes when she can, but she's taking care of her father, and his health is not doing well, and he was not in a good enough place for her to feel comfortable leaving him Saturday. So we're crossing our fingers because he was doing a little better today. And if he's doing okay when she checks on him in the morning, she's going to text me, and we're going to meet up at a Panera Bread, and we're going to stitch together. And I'm very excited about that because I think it will do us both good to get together, and I'm hoping it'll give Melody a bit of a rest. Melody, I'm thinking of you, and I hope I get to see you tomorrow. In the meantime, you guys, happy stitching until I see you again. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Dina. Today is Tuesday. It is August 27th. This month is almost gone. Well, I have a couple of things to share with you today. One is an update. I worked another prompt from School of Magical Stitches. You know, we had to put 5 of our projects on a list, numbered 1 through 5, and they randomly selected a number, and I have found out it is different for each house, but my house, it was number 2. And I was able to work on I'll Be Home for Christmas, and I shared that with you. And then I was able to start working on the other 4 projects. And so this is the next one that I picked up. This is my Jumping Jack Frost. And I was able to come over here and finish this leaf And then I was able to fill in this part of the pumpkin. I had been doing it by color, and there were several gaps in there that I hadn't done those colors yet. So I went ahead and filled that in, and then the next time I work on it, there's a leaf here with another little jack-o'-lantern over here. So that's why there's no orange there. I can come over and work more on the pumpkin next time, or I can go down and do this little corner. But anyway, I did the required number of stitches for that prompt, and I just wanted to share that with you. Then today I was able to meet my friend Melody. We were able to meet at a Panera Bread that's halfway between her house and mine. And I was looking for something to take with me, and I had just gotten through putting most of my whips on roller frames. And I decided I didn't really want to take a roller frame into the Panera Bread. So I looked at some smalls that I had over in my stash, and I decided that Thanksgiving is coming up in a couple of months, and I don't have a lot of Thanksgiving decor. So I pulled out a new start. This is a shepherd's bush. It is one in a series. It's called the Beatitudes series, and I had not seen it before. I actually got this on a freebie table, and I thought, how cute. So I pulled that out of my stash recently. I had ordered the buttons to go with it, and I was going to be maybe holding this for a travel piece or a retreat piece or something like that. So today was a great time to get it started. So I took it with me, and I got a start on it. That cute little turkey. It called for a very large count fabric. It called for a 10 count Tula, and I didn't have any of that in my stash. So what I took was my 14 count Aida, and I coffee tea dyed it just slightly to make it, not stark white, and thought that it would look a little better with these fall colors if I did that. And so this is the first fabric I've dyed, and it was just to get it a little bit, not so white, but it was successful, so I did okay. So that's what I'm working on with that. I'm going to get busy stitching and see if I can't get another prompt. I hope you're enjoying your stitching as much as I am, and I hope you've had a wonderful start to your week, and I wish for you a lot of hours of happy stitching. Bye. Hello everyone. This is my progress that I have made on Simply Love. This was another prompt that I was working on for the School of Magical Stitches. And I stitched this stem and these two leaves, and then I came all the way up here and joined in on this side. That was a total of 271 stitches, and I only needed 200 for the prompt. So I have met that one as well. I have one left to work on today for 200 stitches, and that is Friends. And so I'll be doing that later. Hopefully I'll be able to come back and share it with you. Happy stitching, everyone. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Dina, and today is Wednesday, August the 28th, and I'm here to give you a brief update. I finished the additional extra credit for homework in School of Magical Stitches today. I mentioned that we had to make a list of 5, and so after doing the required 500 stitches in the whip that was selected by the random number generator, then I've been doing 200 stitches on the other 4 whips for extra credit. And I'm happy to report that my final whip that I had selected on my list was Friends for my friend Cheryl. And I did exactly 200 stitches. So let me point them out because you might not be able to tell it. It's not a large number, but I did, originally I had shaded this part of the face, and so this color continued on, and then there was a blend as well. So this is actually 2 colors of shading in the face. And then I know it's hard for you to see from here, but I started the white of the doll's face and I got down to about right there. And that was my 200 stitches. So I am stopping that for today because I was simply stitching it for the prompt. And as it turns out, I will be talking to my friend Cheryl on the phone in a few minutes. We have a little opportunity to have an afternoon chat and catch up with each other. So I'll look forward to plans, and I will talk to you soon. And in the meantime, happy stitching, everyone. I want to give you the results today of the voting, and I want to thank you all for voting for my new starts for 2020. There were 4 categories that I really wasn't quite sure what to do, and the first one was that I'll tell you about is my sewing room category, and we had to pick between Let's Sew and A Stitch in Time, and I am going to tell you by a large margin, by 30 points, 30 votes, A Stitch in Time is the one that was selected. So that will be a start at least by 2020. Another one that you were to vote on was either February from Shepherd's Bush or the beautiful piece of the drawn thread that was Lovebirds. And by a fairly large margin, the Lovebirds did win. And so I have put it in a bag so that I could start kitting it up. And I have selected some fabric, and it is a rosy color of fabric. It's a little more of a brown tone than that in the picture, so I'll have to do a floss toss to see. But I'm in the process of kitting this one up. Another one that was selected, you had to pick between 3 patriotic pieces, and the one that was chosen for the patriotic stitching by a large margin again was Betsy Ross from the Early Americans series. And this shows a very basic neutral fabric, but I have selected to do a blue summer sky. This is a lovely, lovely piece of fabric. It's a Joblin by Wilchelt, and this is what it looks like. And I think that Betsy Ross with the flag waving in the background, I think that is going to look really pretty on there. So I already have it cut. I have to serge around it, but I have paired fabric with each of my new starts that was voted on. And now the other big vote came between the Mirabilia and the Lavender and Lace. And they were neck and neck, and they kept flip-flopping back and forth in the lead until the very end. And the winner of that one is Gathering Eggs. Now, I had a piece of fabric that I had in here before that was the leftover portion of the fabric that I stitched my Ashley's Roses on. And if you'll recall, that had a a yellow and pink mottled piece of fabric. It was beautiful. Well, I thought that would look really pretty in here with all those pink and yellows, and I think it would have. But I love the way that this green sets up everything to pop. And I found this. This is Highland. It is a Lugana 32 count. And it is a picture of this plus. Highland. I think that's going to be gorgeous. I can't wait to start it. Okay. I thank you so much for voting. I appreciate all of your input, your wonderful comments. I thank you for helping me to determine part of what I'm going to stitch. And now, I think I'm going to say goodnight and get some sleep and let my son sleep. He's in the very next room. That's why I'm whispering, because I don't want to wake him. And I will talk to you tomorrow. I will share the I'll do the drawing tomorrow for the winner of the pattern for the celebration of my 100th episode. That was just my last video. And I have a surprise for you tomorrow when I do that. So stay tuned. For you, it'll just be a few seconds. For me, I'm going to go get some sleep. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Happy stitching. Good morning, everyone. This is Dina, and I am going to take a little bit of time this morning before I head out to my Bible study at church to go ahead and select the lucky recipient for the pattern to celebrate my 100th Floss Tube episode. However, I have a surprise. I kind of alluded to that yesterday. In the meantime, I have hit 4,500 subscribers, and I always like to do a little something every 500 because that just blows me away. Absolutely blows me away that many people will watch my channel on occasion. So, and thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it very, very much. So instead of having one individual selected and giving them whatever pattern that they chose, I actually took the time to write down everybody's vote. And some people actually said they would like one or the other, depending on which, if their name was chosen, I could pick which one they liked. I could send them either one of two or one of three or something like that. So I actually have everybody's name on a list on the pattern of their preferences. So instead of giving away one pattern today, I'm going to give away 4. So I'm going to give them all away. So that means we have 4 drawings to do, and I'm going to flip the camera around and let you see the random number generator at work because I have it on my iPad, and I think it would be easier for me to just hold the camera rather than hold the iPad up. Or, well, let's start with the first one being Witchy Washy. This is a Raise the Roof design by our own Teresa, and I just wanted to pass this along because I've stitched it. It's up on my railing. You can't quite see it there, but if I turn you a little bit, there you go. It's in the corner there. Then you can see it. Okay, so we're going to take the Witchy Washy pattern now, and we'll select the winner for that. There were 44 people interested in stitching the Witchy Washy. So I'm going to take my random number generator. I just pulled it up on my iPad here. That's going to be hard for you to see. So I'm going to, I think I'll turn the camera after all and just let you watch it. So hold on. Okay. So I've got it where I think you can see it fairly well, trying to avoid the glare. So as I mentioned, there were 44 people that were interested in the Witchy Watchy. So we'll put 1 to 44, and we'll hit generate. And we have number 18. And number 18 is Melissa Szafranski. Szafranski. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. But Melissa, I will put a comment on your comment, and that way you will know that you should email me your mailing address so I can send you Wishy Washy. Congratulations, Melissa. Now we will draw for the Jenny Beans Halloween Sampler. There were 34 people interested in Jenny Beans Halloween Sampler. So I'm going to change it to 1 to 34, and we'll hit generate. There we go. It's number 1. Brit Girl Friday, you are the lucky winner of the Jenny Beans Halloween Sampler. Let's see, I forgot to show you the list last time. So here is number 18, Melissa. And here is number 1. Brick Girl Friday. And then we'll move on to the Needle's Eye. It was quite popular, this Prairie Schooler. There were 56 people who were interested in the Needle's Eye. So we'll change that number to 56. And we have 48. 48. Soups Pinceros. Soups Pinceros, number 48. So I will again comment on your comment, and that way you'll know to send me your mailing address for this pattern. And we have one more, Fallen Roses. 25 of you were interested in this Mirabilia. It's a pretty heavy pattern, so I'm very pleased that there was that much interest in it. And the winner is number 18, Her Has Stitcher. Her Has Stitcher. Number 18, Her Has Stitcher. You've won the Falling Roses. I want to thank each and every one of you for participating in my celebration of my 100th episode by selecting one of these patterns you would like to stitch. I thank all of you that voted for my new starts and helped me plan all of that going forward. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you and the fact that you comment and you let me know what you like and you give me encouragement as I go. I hope you have a wonderful weekend coming up. I'm going to go ahead and close out this episode and get it uploaded so all of you can see that you've got a pattern to claim. And I will wait for my next video, which should be about 2 weeks from now, to hopefully hear from everyone. Anyway, thanks for watching and happy stitching. Good morning, everyone. This is Dina, and today is a very special day for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's August 20th. It's my husband's birthday. Happy birthday, Tommy. Also, it's very special today because I have a finish that I want to share with you. Now, I'm putting this at the end of my video because this is where my sister Stephanie has to say goodbye and has to stop watching. Sorry. You can watch it later after Christmas. Okay. For the rest of you, I hope you're staying because I want to walk you through just a few details that I haven't been able to talk about because I've been so careful in everything that I'm saying when I'm sharing this when it was a whip. I didn't want to say anything that would give it away since it's a surprise for my sister for her Christmas present. My sister lives in the Midwest, and when I have visited her and when almost anyone else has visited her for any length of time, she arranges a trip to the Amana colonies. It is a very special place for her. She loves the community there. She loves the people there. The shopping is fabulous. I have gotten some very special presents from there for my birthday and Christmas through the years. And she and I have had a fabulous Easter brunch there and a German dinner, and just, it's been a wonderful part of our history since she's moved to the Midwest. So I'm speaking of Amana Inspirations from the Needles Notion. And I have Michelle Rudy to thank for this. She stitched this on her channel. I saw it and said, I've got to have it. I went looking for it where she told me it would be, and I think they were either out or it was temporarily off their website. I could not find it at that moment. And when she checked back with me to make sure I had gotten it and discovered that I hadn't been able to get it, she sent me her pattern. So she sent me the pattern, And then she sent me some pictures for inspiration, and I have used them. I've kept them with this project, and I've looked at them as I was stitching it to remind me of Amana. Here's one of the typical houses there. This actually started as a communal colony. It was that from about 1854 to 1932. Here's one of the stores. You can find them on the internet under Amana Colonies in Iowa, and they have a fabulous quilt shop there, ladies. All of you quilters, if you're ever near Midwestern Iowa, Eastern Iowa, then you will want to visit the quilt shop because it's phenomenal. Anyway, that gives you a little idea of what Amana looks like. But let me tell you why this is so special. This pattern was designed by the granddaughter of one of the founders of the Amana Colonies. And she actually designed it in honor of her grandparents. And so she picked out motifs that were meaningful for the community and that also represented, I think, the history. And then I have taken this piece and I have just slightly tweaked it. Only a couple of little things that I made different. So that I'm going to walk you through what those are. But I first want to show you my finish. This is Amana Inspiration. And it's my first sampler. I had never stitched a sampler before. And when I picked this one to do for my sister, I didn't even think about it being a sampler. And it hit me somewhere along the process. This is a sampler. This is my first sampler. So I want to share a couple of things with you. Number one, this was a pleasure to stitch. It's easy to stitch. The pattern was a bit worn for wear, so I made a working copy. The colors are gorgeous. I did the called for colors. So I want to mention a couple of things that I did a little differently. You see the little dog there by the wagon? It's got kind of a poofy hairdo. Tried to make him look like a poodle because my sister has a poodle. So I did change that up just slightly, trying to make him look a little more like a poodle. He's got his little puffy tail and the little poofs at his feet. And then you see the duck between the two chickens. It is called for colors, but the back stitching wasn't called for. And on this bright white fabric, I used B5200. You couldn't see it. So I have back stitched the duck just so you can see it. I also back stitched the eaves of the white part of the roof because you couldn't see that either. And I wanted it, the edge of the house there, to be a little more identifiable. Now, one of my favorite parts of this pattern is the grape arbor. And you may or may not be able to tell. Maybe if I turn it that way you can tell. Those are French knots. And you free will that. You just put them where you want them. The pattern actually tells you just to look at the cover photo and put them, 5 to 6 at a time in groupings on the grape arbor. So I just kind of did that my own design. And then you fill the basket full there by the grape press as well. I just think it's a precious, precious piece. There are French knots in the birdhouse vine. There are white French knots for flowers. And then, of course, you have French knots for eyes and buttons for the people and the animals. and but I think it looks great, and I'm very, very pleased with it. So there is my big finish I was pushing for August. I appreciate you letting me share my finish with you. I will tell you, I pushed and pushed to get this thing done at the end because I was determined to finish it. And there's a lot of stitching in it. And what tickled me is when I'm kitting up a project like this and I have to pull a color, if it is a color that is has a small amount left on a bobbin, then I will pull that amount and I'll pull that color a second time so that if I run out, I have it in my threads already. So for instance, this is what I have left of 3778 after this project. If I had pulled this when I got started, I would have pulled this and another piece. And that is the case for all of these, or at least most of these, were partial bobbins. But just to show you, I used up 318, I used up 319, I used up 347, and I used 3830 up, what was left on all of those spools. And then started on the full ones. So this one was full when I started. But I got tickled because toward the end, it was like, oh, okay, I've run out of this one. Boom, throw that to the side, get the next, bobbin of it. And after the second one happened, I said, oh my goodness, I'm gonna use up a couple in this project. And then the third and then the fourth, it became sort of funny for me, especially as, as I'm stitching toward a finish on this, you get a little punchy. So I did finish it last night. It was probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock, but I just didn't want to hold it over for one more day. I just wanted to see it done, and I was so tickled with it. And I'll let you in on a little secret. I was back stitching this little lady, and I realized that there was one white stitch that I had left out of her bonnet right on the edge. So I had to go back and fill that in, which I did. But as I was finishing it up, you go and you say, oh, here's a tiny stitch here I missed, or this doesn't show up well enough, I need to back stitch it. As in the case of the duck. Also, I don't know if I didn't mention this piece, but I did back stitch the white tail on those oxen because you couldn't see it either. So I'm tickled, very tickled with this. I'm very pleased to have it. I am excited about finishing it, fully finishing it, and when I do, of course, I'll come back and share it with you at the end of a video so my sister can't see it. But I hope that you've enjoyed the process with me, and I thank you for coming along this journey, and I will let you know how my sister likes it after Christmas. Happy stitching, everyone. Bye-bye.